Welcome to Tingling Goosebumps. The following are true stories told by people who truly believe happened to them. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Without wasting any more time, let's get started.
Through the partially closed blinds of my room, I could see the eerie glow of the motel's flashing neon sign. The only sound in the eerie quietness was the distant hum of a truck driving by on the desolate roadway. I tossed in the groaning bed, unable to get rid of the uneasy feeling that something about this place was odd. I had been driving for hours, fatigue settling into my bones like a heavy fog. The motel, with its faded paint and dimly lit exterior, had been a welcome sight at first. Now, as I lay in the dim room, shadows danced on the walls like ghostly apparitions. The flickering light outside threw strange patterns onto the ceiling, creating a surreal atmosphere that made me question whether the walls of this motel held secrets of their own. I couldn't help but wonder about the countless travelers who had passed through here, each with their own stories and experiences, some perhaps more chilling than the night itself. I tried to shake off the unease, attributing it to fatigue and an overactive imagination. Yet, as I closed my eyes, the room seemed to come alive with whispers. Whispers that were barely audible, yet carried an otherworldly quality that sent shivers down my spine. My instincts screamed at me to leave, to get back on the road and drive until I found a place less haunted. But the fatigue clung to me like a heavy shroud, and the bed felt like quicksand pulling me deeper into its grasp. I forced myself to sit up, glancing around the room in an attempt to dispel the growing sense of dread. That's when I noticed it, a faint scratching sound, coming from somewhere just beyond the walls. I strained my ears, trying to pinpoint the source of the noise. The scratching grew more pronounced, like the desperate pleas of something trapped. It echoed through the room, sending shudders down my spine. Every nerve in my body screamed for me to leave, but a morbid curiosity held me in place. I approached the window, drawn to the source of the unsettling sound. As I peered through the blinds, the neon sign outside flickered one last time before plunging the motel into darkness. The scratching ceased abruptly, leaving behind an oppressive stillness. A cold breeze swept through the room, carrying with it a whispered voice that seemed to caress the edges of my consciousness. Creepy whispers saying leave, a disembodied plea that echoed in the empty corridors of the motel. I hesitated, torn between the inexplicable fear that gripped me and the weariness that anchored me to the room. In the inky darkness, I fumbled for the doorknob, my fingers trembling as they closed around it. Just as I was about to turn and make my escape, a flicker of movement caught my eye. The shadows in the corner of the room seemed to coalesce into a form, a shape that oozed darkness and malevolence. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of spectral voices urging me to flee. With a final burst of adrenaline, I wrenched the door open and stumbled into the empty corridor. The motel, once a refuge from the night, now felt like a trap that I had narrowly escaped. I sprinted to my car, the engine roaring to life as I peeled out of the motel parking lot. The neon sign, now flickering feebly in the distance, seemed to mock my hasty retreat. As the motel disappeared from my rearview mirror, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was a place best forgotten, a nightmarish stopover on a road that led to places best left unexplored. The sound of rain hit off the motel window like stones falling from the sky. The moon cast an eerie glow through the half-closed blinds of my room. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the distant hum of a passing truck on the deserted highway. I shifted uncomfortably in the creaky bed, unable to shake off the feeling that something was not quite right about this place. The check-in process was perfunctory, the receptionist's eyes devoid of any warmth. She handed me a worn-out key with a metallic jingle, the kind that seemed to echo a sinister promise. My room was at the far end of a desolate corridor, a corridor that whispered secrets of those who had come and gone before me. The air inside the room was stifling, and I wasted no time in unlocking the door and throwing it open. The dim light barely illuminated the worn furniture and faded wallpaper that clung desperately to the walls. As I settled in, the unsettling feeling of being watched crept over me like a shadow. I shook off the paranoia, blaming it on the fatigue and the isolated atmosphere of the motel. I drew the curtains closed, cutting off the view of the vacant parking lot. The room plunged into darkness, and I was left alone with my thoughts and the faint hum of the flickering sign outside. As I drifted into a fitful sleep, a nagging sense of unease persisted. It wasn't until I was startled awake by a noise outside my window that I realized the extent of the darkness that lurked beyond the motel's facade. I strained to listen, my ears picking up the faintest sound of footsteps, erratic, purposeful, and undeniably close. My heart raced as I peered through the curtains, catching a glimpse of a shadowy figure standing just beyond the pool of light cast by the flickering neon sign. The figure was obscured, yet I felt their eyes on me, an unseen predator reveling in the terror it instilled. Panic set in, and I fumbled for my phone to dial the front desk. The receptionist's voice, now more cold than ever, offered little reassurance. She claimed there was no one registered in the adjacent rooms. My pleas for help were met with a dismissive tone, leaving me alone in my fear. The footsteps resumed, growing louder and more frenetic. A guttural whisper reached my ears, words indistinct but laden with a palpable madness. I dared not open the door to confront my unseen pursuer, paralyzed by the realization that I was trapped in this nightmare at the mercy of a faceless stalker. Minutes felt like an eternity as the relentless footsteps circled the perimeter of my room. I pressed myself against the wall, praying for the dawn to break and free me from this living nightmare. The room became a prison, the walls closing in on me with each passing moment. Eventually, the footsteps receded into the darkness, leaving me shaken and alone. As the first light of dawn pierced through the curtains, I gathered my belongings and fled the motel, leaving behind the haunting memories of that harrowing night. The neon sign, now devoid of its eerie glow, served as a silent witness to the terror that had unfolded within its desolate walls. The road beckoned, a path to escape the clutches of the nightmarish motel and the relentless specter that had haunted its corridors.